Welcome back everybody to BeamNG.drive, and today we're taking a look at the Gavril Bluebuck Wagon. This was made between 1962 and 1963, has a 160 horsepower, 273 pounds-feet of torque, 4.8 litre V8 engine, or 291 cubic inches. It weighs in at 3,759 pounds, and yeah, his rear-wheel drive, has an automatic gearbox, and yeah. It's basically just a wagon version of the standard Bluebuck, but it's a very good mod indeed in terms of the way it looks and the fact it looks as convincing as it does in comparison to the standard car. So yeah, this is obviously the more basic version, although despite being the basic V8, it's not the slowest of the versions, because there is an inline 6 version as well, which is even slower somehow. So yeah, let's get it around this suspension area and see how tough it is and see how long it will last. And then we'll get onto the rollover ramp, the explosive barrels, and the cinder block wall before then we move on somewhere else. See how much this car can take. So yeah, it's a lot more in the way of bodywork with this car, being a station wagon. So it's got a really rather large overhang over that rear. More so than the standard car, I imagine. Oh, that's a punishing blow there on the rear. And we have lost a window, and some of the bodywork has warped. We've also lost a window on one of the doors as well. Also cracked our windscreen. The suspension is mostly holding up for now. We won't go on the most punishing part of this course until we get to a bit towards the end. Oh, damaged the oil pan, so we're definitely going to overheat at some point. If we don't kill the car before then. Wobble-matic suspension. Working overtime there. Doing the job. See if we can do the job here. Yeah, the suspension on these is typically quite tough. It's a lot to break them. So let's see if we can. Oh, this is the most punishing part of this course. Oh dear. What was that? Oh dear. Oh, bumps, scratches, everything. I think we've lost some of the suspension on the right hand side there. And yeah, we are definitely overheating. Let's go on some more jumps and see if we can make it any worse. Lost the radiator now. Oh, up and down, up and down. This car is not having a good time. We are losing power as well, quite a fair bit. We didn't exactly have much to start with either, so that's not helpful. Give me speed. Some potholes. We're really able to maintain control then over them. Yeah, this car's dying on its arse. Not taking that much in the way of bodywork damage though. Yes, we've lost the windows at the back and one of the passenger windows as well, but outside of that, there's not been all that much bodywork damage, so that is somewhat promising, I guess. It's definitely taken more internal damage than external. And there goes the engine. So, yeah. It's a bit of a tough car, that. The suspension really hasn't given way all that much. The bodywork itself is overall still in decent condition. It's just purely the oil pan and the radiator that really killed this off. So, yeah, I am confident this is going to survive some other aspects. So, let's get to the rollover ramp. See if it can survive 3 of those. I imagine this will roll a lot better than the Sunville from the previous episode, which, yeah, being typical muscle car, was not a fan of rolling over, but with this being longer and a little bit more cylindrical in shape, it should hopefully do well. So let's just reload it so we're here. Right. Get this baby going. So there are the barrels, and there's a cinder block wall that we'll be going up against after we've done 3 consecutive rolls. Right. Oh, was not expecting that. Well, yeah, the wheels are the weak point, clearly, outside of obviously the oil pan. I think a lack of a wheel there saved it from rolling further, because there's no wheel or suspension to bounce off now. But yeah, that is a big amount of damage for the first roll. Come back! No. Bye then. But we can still move, just about. One time fire it. Because we've got an awful diff in this. Hopefully we'll make it up onto the ramp. If not, then this is a fail. Oh, we've also lost the radiator as well, which I did not notice. I'm going to kind of have to drag this on. Drag the rear end round as well. Nope, still not moving. Yeah, it really does not have a diff worthy of anything, really. Struggle for an eternity to get this on. Well, there goes that. Really is difficult to get one on this when it's got only one wheel. Let's get it around. I don't think we're really making any progress, do you? There we go. Right, so it has taken a little bit of bodywork damage there. We've lost the bumper and the some lights and the front fascia, but it's fine. It's better than anything else. Right, let's see what happens on the second roll. See if we lose a wheel this time round. If we lose any other wheels, then we are done for, because like I said, the diff isn't all that great on the rear end, and obviously if we lose the other front wheel, then we're not going to be able to steer to get on the ramp at all. So yeah, it's in a tentative state, this, and the roof is taking a fair old wallop as well. But we have, for now, survived a little bit better than last time, because we didn't lose another wheel. Come on, pick up the pace. Yeah, it's definitely not helping the car stay cool by having to rev it that hard to get it moving. Oh dear. Right, well that was a little bit easier this time round. So let's see if we can survive this third and final rollover before the car eventually overheats. We're going to go for another roll? No, I think we're just going to stay on our roof. Again, probably because we hit the side of the car that has no wheel there for no suspension either to bounce off of. So yeah, that's why we've just basically just gone onto our roof again. So I guess that's a kind of a safety feature if you do have a rollover and then roll over again. But regardless, yeah, the roof has come way down. I don't think that's that's not safe at all. The head of the camera is right for the roof. So yeah, if it had survived with the roof being fairly intact still, then I would have given that a pass. But combine the roof and the fact that it's lost a wheel with the fact it's also taken a fair bit of engine damage, it's unfortunately a fail. So yeah, I am going to give it a pass though for the suspension area, because it did survive a long time with a half dead engine. So yeah, let's see if it can survive these crash hard explosive barrels. We're just about managing to get to 60 miles an hour. Thereabouts. A lot of bodywork damage there. We've even ruptured the fuel tank, which is not something that often happens on this part of the test or video. It's going to come hard down on its front. Oh. That's a punishing blow that was. Now on the rear end again. Oh. Well, that was definitely a highly damaging impact there. Primarily to the front. Oops. Yep, you have now set on fire as well, which I guess is no surprise given the fuel tank ruptured. Yeah, pretty much all the damage there was to the front, which has still, managed to survive in some regard. It's still able to steer, which is a big surprise. And yeah, despite the fuel tank rupturing and now setting everything on fire, the interior also survived as well. So yeah, I'm going to give it a pass, even though obviously the fire is really not a safe thing at all to happen, as you can see. But the fire only really erupted once we started to move again. If we'd have stopped as soon as we had fallen back onto our wheels, then it's unlikely that the fire would have erupted. So yeah, I'm going to give it a pass, as yeah, interior safety has not really been compromised by the explosion or the force on the ground. So yeah, bit of a mixed bag so far from this car. So let's see if we can survive the cinder block wall. Again at 60. Oh, it's quite punishing. Certainly warped some of the bodywork, the roof and the doors in particular. But most of the damage has been contained to the front of the car, in front of the firewall, and not to those inside. So yeah, that is a pass, even though obviously there has been some damage inside, but not enough really to compromise anyone's safety. So yeah, only really a a 3 out of 4 there, which isn't bad. Obviously the explosive barrels and the cinderblock wall usually are able to be passed. Suspension area was a pass as well, despite the engine dying, but the suspension itself held up, and so did the bodywork. But yeah, the rollover test was a pretty disastrous failure, to be honest. So yeah, that was a bit of a shame, but still 3 out of 4 ain't bad. So let's get onto the crash haul and see how this deals with 30, 40 and 60 mile an hour small overlap crashes. So here we are at the crash haul. So yeah, I'm not expecting wonders from this. It should survive the 30 mile an hour impact fine, just because of how much bodywork is up front. But anything more than that is probably going to be asking too much, because yeah, it's obviously quite an old car. There's a hell of a lot of weight to it, and yeah, therefore I'm not expecting the impact forces to be pushed around the people inside. It's going to be a case of the impact forces being pushed into the interior. So let's see at 30. Yep, that's fine. But you can definitely see where the weak point is, and where that's going to start, you know, impacting the people inside once we get to faster speeds. Because the door has started to warp, and so has the roof. But 30 mile an hour is still nonetheless a pass, despite the foreboding looking amount of damage that has impacted it at only 30 miles an hour. But yeah, still, that is a reasonable yeah, that's a reasonable pass there. So let's see what happens at 40. Yeah, that was quite painful. But I am going to do it again, because I do think I was slightly a little bit too over the right hand side there. Just to give it a fair chance, because that was a dramatically different amount of damage there than 30 miles an hour. Yep, still the same. Just thought I'd give it a chance, because it did look like I was a little bit over to the right. But yeah, that is a dramatic change, just from 30 to 40 miles an hour. A mere 10 miles an hour difference, and yet the damage is way worse. The door has popped open, while the passenger door has also started to come open as well. Not even from the where the handle is, but from where the hinges are, which isn't particularly, you know, confidence inducing, quite frankly. And yeah, the steering wheel has moved forward and to the right as well, no doubt impacting on the driver. And yeah, there's been a lot of damage as well to the front right left wheel. And yeah, the car itself is in poor shape. So yeah, you can even see that the damage forces have rippled right across the side of the car, because the rear window has blown out as well, which just shows that it's all of the energy is really going into the interior and the bodywork itself, which is not what you want, not what you want at all. And the chassis has started to bend down as well. So yeah, that is a fail, to be honest. So yeah, I've not really got high hopes for 60 mile an hour now. Quite frankly, it's going to be a case of damage limitation, not, you know, expecting a good result. So let's see what happens. Oh, we were too far off there. Do apologise. But at least we'll maintain speed for a little bit longer now that we're setting off a bit faster. Misjudged the speed I was going there. Right. as in terms of the time slowing down, not the actual speed. No, 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 that's too far to the right again. This is why I wish this map had a the typical way that they do these kind of crash tests in terms of dragging the car along by a wire, not, you know, actually running the car itself. I know it would probably be a hard thing to mod, but it'd be really rather worthwhile in terms of keeping these crashes consistent, especially for me. So yeah, I think we've got it there. Yep, that looks better. Oh, yeah, that is unsurprisingly even worse than 40 miles an hour. That is devastating. It's pretty much just ignored most of what is the hard stuff of the body or the chassis, and just, yeah, gone for the weak, softer stuff. The doors, the roof. And that's pretty much unmovable. Let's find a point to drag it from. Yeah, that is a fail. No doubt about that. You might have been able to say 40 miles an hour might have been a pass, but this has definitely been a fail. I mean, even the rear door on the side that didn't even get impacted is open, which just shows how much the car has twisted round. It's not as much, yeah, it's both of the doors in fact have opened. Look. Oh no, maybe that one hadn't, but this one definitely has. As you can see, didn't have to really do any force at all with that. So yeah, it just shows how much the bodywork is twisted around, so then the bits, the more extreme parts at the rear have just bent. I mean, we've even lost a tail light as well. That might have been from hitting the pole there, but either way, yeah, that is devastating for driver and passengers inside. So yeah, nonetheless, let's get out onto the highway and see how this deals with two cars that are a similar weight and size at 60 miles an hour, and then one that really isn't at the same speed. Right, welcome here to the highway. So we're going to impact 3 vehicles at 60 miles an hour, which will also be going at 60 miles an hour. 2 of them are going to be about the same size, and then one that isn't, it's going to be a lot heavier and larger. Although we have gone for a slightly lighter vehicle by a couple £100. It's the Kashira minivan. Purely went for this because this is the kind of car that killed off the station wagon pretty much in America, for instance. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see whether old or new family cars are better than one another. So let's take a look. Now, is the old family car going to be better than the new family car, or the other way around? We'll have to see. Slow it right down. Now obviously the Kashira is a lot newer, but it is lighter, so is that going to make a difference? Nope. They're pretty much the same, weirdly enough. I guess the kind of a balance there between more modern engineering and heavier vehicle. I mean, the Kashira's taken way more damage. Oh no, both of us have killed our engines. Never mind. I was going to say there. But yeah, we've obviously survived quite well there. Being quite heavy, there's no real damage inside. Whereas the Kashira has also taken minimal amount of damage. Although the doors have... Well, the driver's side door, for instance, has gotten worse off than ours has. And the steering wheel looks like it's moved a little bit, but the Kashira would have had airbags, whereas obviously we would not. So yeah, I think that's a pass for us. Although the Kashira has done remarkably well, given it's gone up against a far heavier and larger car. So yeah, let's get rid of the Kashira and just take a look at the damage a bit more. So yeah, you can see that our bonnet is way higher than the Kashira, so that's why it's barely even damaged. But the rest of the car has taken a huge amount of damage there, which is why the engine has died. I suppose the driveline didn't give up given how much the engine was forced back, but regardless, yeah, that is a pass. So let's see what other vehicles we can choose from. What about a more modern estate? How heavy are these? Yeah, we'll go for a more modern estate. See what a Roth Alpha can do. Now granted, this isn't based on a real car, I don't think. And even if it is, it's not a gonna be a highly accurate vehicle in comparison to, say, the Cashera, which does look like pretty much any minivan from that period. But regardless, yeah, should be interesting to see what this can do in comparison to a more modern, much older estate. So yeah, let's see what happens. Now again, this has the weight on its side, but the Roth has age on its side, being a lot newer. I think we're going to probably do that impact a little bit better actually. Didn't quite have the camera in the right angle. Oh, this Roth Alpha is a little bit skittish. But that'll have to do. Yeah, that's devastating for both purely because it's not dead on. We'll try dead on. Do apologise. Third time's the charm. I've forgotten how skittish this Roth Alpha is in terms of handling. Right, that's much more central. But again, I think we've done really rather well. Roth Alpha's gotten off really poorly there. I think the sheer brute force of this Bluebuck has just overwhelmed any safety elements to the Roth really, because yeah, the roof has warped, the doors have warped, the steering wheel has jutted off to the left, there's some intrusion into the footwell from the transmission. Yeah, we've gotten away with that fine. Again, we have gone again up against a much lighter car, but not by much. It's only a couple £100. It can't really make all that much difference. I think it's purely just because a lot of harder elements are up front on the Bluebuck. You got a hard chassis right up front. You got a massive engine up front as well, way bigger than the V6 in the Roth. So I think that's just what's really done it for us. But you can see that we've taken a lot of damage at the rear as well, purely because of the energy has been transferred to the rear. We've blown out all of the windows on the rear end. And it looks like there's been a bit of bodywork damage as well. So yeah, a pass from us there. So let's see what happens when we go up against a much heavier vehicle than ours. We're going to go up against a car that also has a lot of hard elements in terms of big engine and big chassis components up front. I'm going to go for the Rollover LXT 35 police package unmarked, £5,842. That's about £2,000 more than us, so yeah, this is going to be devastating. Hopefully it'll stop the Bluebuck from getting a winning streak. Which I don't think any car has had on this on these reviews, but always a first time for everything, I guess. 100 times slower. Right. Now, is it going to win or is it not? Make your decision now. I'd say not. Steering wheel has moved right the way towards us. We've even jumped it up on out of the air completely. And we've got at least a couple of inches there up in the air. Which shows again how much force has been impacted into the car. The Roma's gotten away with that fine, but we have not. We have been disintegrated. Yeah, we're now basically far further back than we would have been. If the seat had moved, it would have been right to the back of the bench seats there. So yeah, that is a fail. Guess it was inevitable given its £2,000 difference in weight, and obviously the Roma is newer as well, despite having quite an old age design. So yeah, that is quite devastating. Let's get rid of the Roma just to take a look at the damage a bit more, and yeah, you can see how much shorter we've gotten. The engine and wheels have pretty much stayed in place purely because the Roma is a little bit higher than us, but that's just meant that we've been open to the weaker elements of the car. Because yeah, even though the metal these are made out of is quite, you know, heavy and weighty, it's yeah, easily curled back and put the damage into even weaker elements. So yeah, we're taking a lot of damage there, but yeah, overall this car has done well. 3 out of 4 on the grid map, 1 out of 3 on the crash hall, and 2 out of 3 out here. So yeah, overall a 6 out of 10, but yeah, definitely could be worse given the age of the car, and yeah, and obviously the old age design. So yeah, nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.